Hey guys, alright, so today's video we're going to go ahead and redo the belts. If my wife back there can hand me one of those belts, I'll show you what I'm replacing. So these are your cheap, your standard GT2 belt, but the problem I was having, it was just temporary, but as you can see, it's the idlers are eating it up. So that's the problem with these belts. They're not very strong at all. So I decided to just take the opportunity to replace it. As you can see, if I can get it to clear focus on that, it's all focused on me, but if I can show you guys, but it's actually being chewed up, as you can see there. So I'm replacing those with, I can't get gate belts because you have to read all of those on AliExpress, but I didn't want to have to wait, so I got something similar. I've used this before in the past. They're pretty strong. They don't stretch, which is what I like. The only problem with them is that if you bent them, if like, for example, if they're bent this way, they tend to keep that bent form, and so they become unusable. So you got to be careful, trying not to bend them. But outside of that, it doesn't get damaged like the cheap belt, and it's thicker, and they hold their form. It don't stretch as easy either. So these are really good belts. They're not bad. I'll put a link in the description if you want to try these out. These are pretty good belts to use if you can't wait on gate belts, or if you don't want to use gate belts. These are pretty decent replacements. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, guys, so here's what we'll do. So I have my afterburner off, so that way I can access the screws that hold the belt clips in place. So everything is like free right now. Now, what I do to retain my X-axis from going anywhere, as you can see, I've taken the precedence to use this. It comes with the X5SA, but I use the idlers. I took off the idlers, and I just use the metal plate to hold this from moving backwards, right? So this is what I use to block it from going any farther back. So that way when I tension it, as long as these 2 points are touching each of the blocks, I know it's squared and it's tension. So and to keep them squared, there's 2 holes here. I put something in the hole, as you can see right over here. I put something in the hole and then mounted this backwards, so I know the hole is squared. And I did the same thing for the other side over there, so I know it's aligned basically. So as long as you can do that, once you tension the belt, it should be pretty easy to square them up. Right now I have my motors loose. I need to do another thing to keep my motors loose, so let me go ahead and do that before I forget, so that way I have more adjustments. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen up my motor mounts a little. Not all the way, just enough so that way when you torque the screw, you'll have some adjustment back. So I'm going to go ahead and push this forward. As you can see, it's moving forward there. Just gonna get it all lined up nicely. So try to make sure it's firmly mounted. All right. So that's one down. So now, as you can see, it's shifted now forward. So that way when I run the belt, I have more space to tension it if it's not tight enough, right? So I can tension it out. Now you don't want your belt so tight that it's like super tight, but you just want it nicely that when you pluck it, it just has a nice little, you know, little ring to it or sound to it. But so we're gonna do the other side over here. Just gonna loosen it up. And loosen up this side as well. All right, then we're going to back the thing out so we can push it forward. There we go. Now shifting forward. There we go. So now it's all shifted forward. So there we go. So now we got adjustment. Let me bring this back up just a little back here. Yeah, there we go. So now we have the motors push back forward, so we can screw this back in once we run the belt, and so they can adjust back, right? So now we can actually run the belt. So let's do the first run here. So sometimes it can get a little bit annoying. So what I try to do is, what you want to do is we're going to run the belt at the back here. So let me actually turn this machine around so you guys can get a view of this. Okay, so get one of the belts. All right, I'm gonna do the lower pulley first. So you get the belt, and what you want to do, you want to add some zip tie to it so it doesn't slide back out. And now usually I use smaller zip ties, but look like I only have the big ones left. Hopefully this works, because the smaller zip ties seem to work a lot better than the big ones. All right, so I'm gonna try to get this thing zip tied in real nicely. Okay. All right, so that should hold this in place while I run the belt. So the belt path can be a bit tedious, I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of annoying, but it can be done. You just have to take your time. So here I have to use one of my little, so I'm pushing it in the corner here so that we have access to it. There we go. And so then we're gonna bring it all the way out. That way we don't make it twisted up. So, and then it's best to do this when your belts are kind of like straight and not bending, because you have some belts that are like, that will fold up on you. So it's best to do this that way. And I'm gonna run it. See if I can grab it from back here. And then grabbed it there. So that's it. So now we got to run it through this thing here. So as you can see, this belt pad can be a nightmare if you don't know what you're doing. Absolutely can be a nightmare. But if you take your time, it can get done properly. So just make sure the belt's not twisted up on you. So as you can see, and then we gotta get it through this motor housing. So now we gotta get it through here like so. gotta use something to help it bend, because some of these belts are so stiff that they won't curve and bend like you want it to. So now I'm pushing it around the motor, as you can see, so it can come out the other side. All right, so now it's sneaking around the other side. And then trying to get this lined up so that way it doesn't slip off the belt pad. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pull it in. As you can see, it's spinning the motor, so I'm just pulling it in. Not too tight though, because we're not finished with the run yet. We just want to get it in and around. So this is the lower pulley side I'm running. I want to see, this is side A. Or B, I think. I want to say it's B, but yeah. So let me try to get it underneath here. It's fine if it's sliding off the what's the name, because we're going to tighten back up once we get it through the back here. All right. So as you can see, I snaked it through the back. You grabbed it from here. Pull. See, now it's like it wants to fold up on me a little bit. So this is a trick. Gotta make sure it doesn't fold. Keeps it all right, there we go. And do it again on a pulley. So now we're gonna help it go back on the pulley. There we go. So now it's actually on the pulley. So now we gotta route it through behind the outer motor here onto the lower pulley. Grab it. All right. So it should be on the lower pulley. So I'm gonna pull it, pull it, pull it. Make sure it's sitting on the lower pulley here. It's okay if we shift it a little bit. Then, same thing for here, got to be on the lower pulley. Now this is where the hard part comes in, because you gotta fold it around this pulley and let it run through the housing. So this is where you can get kind of impatient doing this part. Now, if anybody knows an easier way to do this, I'm open to any suggestion, but I've had success doing it this way and no problem. But yeah, so now I got it through. Just got to grab it. So there we go. And this is the first one ran. Now I'm not going to tighten it up yet, because of course I got to run the second one first before we actually do any tightening. So then we push it through here. So now I have plenty enough room. So I'm going to see if I can push it through. There we go. Then I'm going to use this to grab the belt path. I think I had a little flathead screwdriver here somewhere. Find that. See, maybe I can use this tweezer. So it's just to grab the belt. So I can put some more. Just grab the belt and push. There we go. So that helped. All right. So we're not going to do any tightening. We're just going to let it kind of sit free for now. Right? Because we can't tighten anything yet until we run the outer belt. So now we go on the other side and we run the outer belt. So what I'm going to do is run the outer belt and then we'll go to the next clip. So I'll see you in the next clip. All right guys, so now I got both belts run. So as you can see, I move back the motors in the corner. Make sure, so to go through, make sure these belts are on the pulley. Now if you look at the back here, we see these two belts are run. If it's close together like this, so that means if you don't have, if you can't see the extrusion in the center, that means the belts are close together. That means they're not on the pulley. The pulley's supposed to separate these belts, so they should be above the separate channels, as you can see on the 2020 extrusion at the back. So if they're not there, that means they're not on the pulley properly. So you got to make sure it's on the pulley properly, because if not, you're gonna run into a nightmare when you try to tighten it. Because if you tighten it and it's not on the pulley, you're gonna have a hard time trying to get it back on the pulley properly, and it's gonna cause a whole bunch of issues. So just make sure before you fully tighten it out, everything is on the actual pulleys, in the proper pulley. So this is the, of course, you have your bottom pulley. This is the bottom pulley, that's how I call it, because this is run at the bottom, and the other side is your top pulley. So I think this is AB. So this is motor A, this is motor B. Okay, motor A, motor B. Okay, A is the top side pulley, B is the low side pulley. Say A, top side pulley, B, low side pulley. Okay, and so now to tighten it up, I actually gave myself some length. As you can see, the reason why I gave length is so I can pull on it. Now, as you can see, the way I tighten my belt is I pull on the kitty corner. So basically, I pull on the opposite belt, and each belt represents a one of the actual motor mounts, right? So as you can see this gap? See that gap you see? And there's a gap. You want to make sure you pull the belt until those gaps close, okay? So I'm gonna do the A side motor mount. So look, if I pull on it, kitty corner, look what happens. See that gap close? So look. See? So the tension goes on it. So this is why I put this back here, because if I didn't have this back here, what will happen is the X will travel all the way back to the motor mounts, and then I won't have this leverage to pull on it, right? So this is why I have these motor blockers here to stop it from going backwards, so that way I can mount it up. But it also benefit as a square, so it helps me square up the frame. So as long as I tighten it up and this is touching this block and this is touching this block, we're squared. Or should I say we're unracked. Okay, so if we're racked, that means if I tighten one side up but this side is not touching this square, that means the frame is racked and it's not square to the bed, right? So we need to make sure that that the whole frame is squared when you tighten it up. So as you can see, it serves two purposes: stop the x-axis from going backwards, but it also give me a line of alignment, so that way I know my axis is not racked. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull on this, right? And the purpose of doing this is to pull as hard as you can with your hand first. That way I can get some kind of a tension on there, pre-tension, before I touch the screw, okay? So when I pull on it, I'm gonna go ahead, take my, make sure I have the right one here, hold on. Because you wanna do this as quick as you can, because you know your hand can get tired from holding this tension. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull on it as tight as I can. So this is my hand pulling, and then I'm gonna tighten up this side because it don't make no sense, right? So we're gonna go ahead and tighten up that side, right? So that's tight, right? So we got some tension, as you can see. I already got some tension just from this hand pulling it, right? That doesn't include me screwing the motor and having motor pull back for more tension. This is just raw and screwing. Now if I don't need any more tension, then I won't touch this at all, right? I'll just tighten down the motors and leave it be. But if I need some more, at least I know I can screw this back and get some more tension out of it. So then we're going to go to the other side, the outer belt here, and pull on this side, right? Because you can see, look, now it's racked. See that gap you see? There's a little gap. So now we just got to pull on this to close that in. See that? Now the gap is closed. And now we have some tension. So now we go ahead and tighten up this side. If I can see, there we go. Now we don't have to go overboard, just tighten it just enough so the belt don't come out. So now, if you look, no gap and no gap. So you can see there's no gap there. You come over this side, there's no gap there. So the gaps are closed. And then if you look, the belts are decently tensioned just by my hands, right? So I could definitely move this now and not worry about my frame being racked, because this block helped me tension both of them evenly. Now, if you never had this here, the block here, then even if you try to tension it, you might not get the best tension because there's nothing for the actual frame to lean back on for you to get a proper tension, right? So again, it helped with three things. It helps stop the X-axis from moving backwards. It also helps square up the X gantry so you're not racked. And it helped basically give you even tension by having this block there. So again, it's pretty cool that, you know, I didn't come up with it. I just thought logically that's the best way to do it. So, and it worked for me the first time around. So yeah, so I just wanted to show you guys the best way to do that and square up the frame. So I mean, I'm pretty sure you can 3D print this possibly. You'd have to keep it kind of low. You'd have to keep it, how should I put it? You'd have to just make it just be. Hey guys, sorry about that. My battery died on my phone, so now we can continue. So back to what I was saying. So now that you get this, now that we have it tightened up a little bit, we screwed it down to hold the bed. As you can see there, it's kind of stiff already, kind of pre-tensioned. So I'm still going to tension it more. I mean, I shouldn't overdo it, but I like to have it tight so it doesn't get out of place or anything like that. So the next thing I'm most likely going to do is cut the cable since I'm already done. So we're just going to go ahead and finish cutting these cables. Cutting off the excess stuff here. So I'm just going to go ahead and see if I can get a sharper one to clip everything. There we go. These ones are pretty tight, so I'm just gonna have to be careful what I'm cutting. Yeah, they're pretty tough cables, so they're worth the price for these belts. Pretty strong belts, so I'm trying not to cut any wires or anything. Almost off, but there you go. All right, cut this right here and zip tie, get them out of the way. Sorry, I'm just struggling to kind of trying to be careful not to cut anything that I don't need to cut or damage anything. Okay. There we go. Pull it off. There we go. Then we can cut this down a little and shrink it. There we go. And we can cut the zip ties off of this one next. And then we can shrink it and bring it down. Come on. All right, so cables are cut. So now we're good. It's already tightened up, so we're practically good here. So the next thing I'm gonna do while the stoppers are still there, my little makeshift stoppers. Let me pick this up off the floor here. All right, so the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm just going to go ahead and tighten this up a little. Probably not going to go all the way, but just kind of give it some more tension. Maybe go right there. Right there looks good. Does it look like it's pretty tension here? So I don't want to go too extreme. So I'm probably going to go the same way with this one. I'm going to go halfway. So about there. Looks like about halfway in both. Make sure that's staying back here. So look like I might have to go more here. As you can see, it's not touching the what's the name like I want to. You see it's coming back off. So because I'm tensioning it, it's coming back off. So I'm gonna have to pull more tension on this side to get it to touch. So I need a little bit back here. How about there? We good over there. Good right here. I need a little bit more. Look like this side still needs a little bit more tension. So let me see. Okay, how about this? Let's see. Push it back and see what happens. Maybe for just a little bit. Maybe I don't need so much on this side, so come back off. A little bit off of that one. That's what it looked like. See, still need more tension here, so I'm just gonna go ahead. Nope. So let me back off completely then. Okay, that touched it. Okay. All right. Oh, look like I just had to tension one side, apparently. Okay, now it's touching. Both of them are touching. That looks good. Just gonna add a little bit to this just to make sure it's not moving. Still touching. Still there. Still there. Still over there. Think I'm satisfied with that. I ain't touching it no more. Okay, that's good. So now, just tighten back up the motors. So yeah, so I'm just tightening down the motors now that I'm satisfied where the tension is. And you should be good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish tightening these down. Well, again, you don't have to need to over tighten these because it's, you know, you're still working with plastic here. So you just need to get them snug. Once they're snug, you're good to go. So you don't need to over tighten them. So once I'm looking, checking again, make sure none of them are off, not touching everything. So it's still touching. As you can see, it's still over here touching. So I know I'm squared. So if I go forward, both of them hitting at the same time. As you can see, it's squared up. It's squared up. Nothing is fracked or nothing. So they're both squared back. So if I come back here, they're both touching. So we're good. So everything's nicely lined up and squared. So I don't have to worry at all now. So you see a little bit of checking to make sure everything looks good here. So I'm watching. Make sure we don't have any more play in there. Okay. All right, so now we can go ahead and take off our block. Go ahead and take this off. Okay. Take along some more. There we go. There's one. Take off the other block. So now that we have them off, we should be able to go all the way back here, and both of them go at the same time. I can pull on one of them and I know it's going to land. They go at the same time. You can pull on one of them and I know it's going to land at the same time. So pretty happy with that. As you can see, and it's pretty stiff, as you can see. Pretty stiff. You can see a lot of tension on there. And that's it. That's the belt is already done. So now it's just to put back my afterburner back in and get it turned on. Now I gotta run my see, I have the ADL, I want to say ADL 345, the little accelerometer for clipper, so I can redo the resonance tuning on this. So I have it already set up. I just use tape. I mean, I just kind of ghetto taped it on here, but it does work. I wasn't looking for like major accuracy on this because this is like a small printer, but on here I actually take out one of the bolts out the fan here, and then I mount it on there, and that mounted securely, and that works. So I'm about to get this nicely cleaned up, set up, retune, and get it ready for printing again. But yeah, so this video was just showing you my method of running the belt, and as you can see, the belt is nicely run. It's again, the belt setup is a little complicated, but once you just watch what you're doing, make sure the belts are on the idlers, the correct idlers, and then when you tighten it up, you kitty corner it. So you tighten from this side and then tighten from that side, like I showed you in the video, and everything should be good. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you have any comment, I read a comment, I try to respond. So put it in the comment section. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.